Hello, y'all, from the West Main Church of Christ family. I am making this video because Wednesday night, the last Wednesday night when I taught, we were teaching Ephesians chapter 1, verse 1 through 12, and we muddled through the whole thing except we left out verse 10. And verse 10 was where I was going to spend the most time. So I'm going to do a very quick review, and then we're going to launch into verse 10. So this is Wednesday night's class at West Main Church Christ. So we're going to look at God blessed us with every spiritual blessing in the heavenlies. So after that, these next verses start enumerating those blessings, and one of the major blessings is the one that happens in verse 10. So verse 4. He chose us. Okay, so He chose us. So we were there to be chosen. It was kind of like the playground, and some people got chosen to play the softball game, and some didn't get chosen, and they were spectators. Okay, and so God chose us, and now we're in the middle of a softball game. Let's call it a softball game. We're in the middle of a softball game that seems to have pretty high stakes. Okay, then He predestined us to adoption. Not only are we chosen to be a part of the team, God says, I want you to be my own son. I'm going to raise you like a son. I'm going to use the rest of this time that you have on earth to do some raising on you. And so sometimes that's going to mean some discipline. Sometimes that's going to mean some blessings. Sometimes it's going to mean some trials and testing. And so it means something, and it means something good. Okay, so that's one of the spiritual blessings. In verse 6, I'm going to freely bestow grace on you. I'm going to be gracious to you in many multiple ways. Many multiple ways, okay? I'm going to give you wonderful gifts. I'm going to give you gifts over and above anything that you could ask or imagine. So that's part of this calling I'm calling you into, okay? And it's for a reason, because it's this calling I'm calling you into. Other people don't have to do this. Only you are. So uncalled people are not going to go through the things you go through as a called person, okay? I'm going to forgive your trespasses, number 7. You're going to make mistakes. You've made mistakes up to the point of God tapping you on the shoulder and say, hey, I want you to be in my family. And after you're in the family, you're going to make mistakes. So He forgives trespasses out of the big gift that Jesus did. Okay? In verse 9, He's going to give you, into 8 and the beginning 9, He's going to give you the spirit of wisdom and insight. And so that's an actual spirit that has that job, and He's going to camp on your shoulder, and He's going to give you spirit and insight into things and situations, very specifically in what He's talking about in this passage. He's going to tell you what's going on. In fact, there's a big question in your mind that's going on right now. After you hear this list, you go, why are you doing this for me, God? Why? What's the big purpose? What's the big reason? Okay, and that's in I call it 8b to 9. He's saying, I'm giving you the answer to the mystery. Okay, there's a mystery, okay? So the mystery is in verse 10. And so he starts in verse 10, and I'm going to tear it apart. And the reason I'm doing this is this passage, for whatever reason, is not translated plainly. And that's the case for several passages in the New Testament. I'm going to say several, but it's actually a multitude of passages where the translation is faulty, or it's wrong, out and out wrong, or it gives the wrong impression, or it's made muddled and confusing. Okay, and so this one could be said very plainly. Could be said very plainly, and it's not. So I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to talk about what it really says. So He's saying, in the verse 9, He said there's a big mystery, and He's going to tell you the answer to it. And then He starts with a view to. That's what my Bible says. With a view to. Okay? So what it means is He's talking a lot about He did all this stuff. Everything we've been talking about has been arranged before the world actually began, before the foundations of the earth. He made all these decisions, and he made these master plans to do all these things, including what he's doing in your life. Okay, and if you saw the video about the books of heaven, you'll realize that there's very little that happens that God hasn't already planned out. He might let a few things go random, but not very many, okay? Because especially anything to do with his children. That stuff's all just worked out, okay? It has to be worked out because that's the kind of God he is, okay? So he's talking about, when I did this before the foundation of the world, I was looking forward. I was looking forward in time, way forward in time, even farther than when we are now. Because the full manifestation of what we're going through now is going to be manifest ahead of us in time, okay? And what's going to happen is there's an administration. That's what my Bible says. Some of yours might say some other things, okay? So administration is close enough if you have the right understanding of it, okay? Administration in the Greek is an extension of the home, basically. But it's made a little bit bigger because in the beginning people were a home, and then as civilized people started progressing, some people did economics better than other people. Okay, some people became rich. Okay, so because they became rich, they couldn't manage all of their resources, so they had to get people, hire people, or have slaves that took care of a lot of the functions of life for them, and so they'd have to have this oikonomian arrangement where it's an organized thing around the household. It's an organized household, okay, and so it's bigger than just mom and dad and 3 kids, okay, and so let's think about Abraham. Abraham, when Lot got taken, he grabbed up all the men in his household, all the oikonos in his household. He grabbed 300 men. Abraham was a rich man, and so these 300 men were taking care of all kinds of stuff: his livestock, his farming, taking care. When the wool is shorn, somebody's got to take care of the wool, get it out to the women, get it spun, get it whatever. Okay. So every part of his enterprise as being a rich man, somebody had to take care of it, to do the hands-on kind of stuff. And these are the guys, what they did, okay? So when they butchered a cow, somebody had to make hide, and somebody had to turn the hide into leather, and somebody had to take that leather and make it into whatever, a sheath for your knife, or apron for the blacksmith. All kinds of things had to be done with all this stuff, because, a well-to-do family had an estate. It was large, okay? Thinking about Job. Job had somebody taking care of the camels, somebody taking care of the sheep, somebody taking care of the donkeys, I think, okay? And then he had somebody that was watching over his kids. Then he had somebody that was farming the fields, okay? And then he had some guys that were out there at security, okay? And they got overwhelmed. So maybe he had 1,000. He was like the richest man in all the East. So maybe he had 1,000 people, okay? So same thing. So this gets extended into, and as people are growing up and the great things get bigger, well, this extends out to empires, okay? So let's just think of Daniel. So Daniel, when he was made the head head councilman over the satraps and over the governors and over that, and there might have been close to 10,000 people in the government of Nebuchadnezzar, and Daniel was in charge of it all. Okay, and it was a very complicated. I mean, I think from my memory, I think he had like 17 nations that he had conquered and that he was controlling. I mean, it was a massive empire. Okay, and so anytime there's a large management of people, it takes a lot of other people. Well, that's what this administration is. That's exactly what it is. This administration, we're going to see. We're going to see that it's a something that's necessary. Okay, and we're going to see necessary for what. Okay, so I put over in the sign of it, administration. I put a team of servant leaders. Okay, and the reason I put that is, like Matthew 19, he says, you guys aren't going to overlord it like the rulers of the Gentiles do. You're going to be different. You're going to be a servant or you're going to be a slave when it comes to those people, okay? Isaiah, I think Isaiah 9, where it says, and Jesus, when it's prophesying about Jesus, the government will be on his shoulder, okay? And then it says this crazy thing, and the increase and the power of his government are going to be exponential almost. Okay, this is Don paraphrasing. His government's going to expand. I mean, it's going to start out one way, but it's going to get seriously bigger. Okay, so he needs a government. I mean, that's part of what this stuff is about. So Daniel 7:27 says, and then the kingdoms of the world will be actually given to the saints of the Most High. What? Yeah. The management of this big kingdom. Now, when it collapses, this world kingdom, when it collapses, and it talks about being a statue and 4 kingdoms and all this, it's in the world today. It's in the world today. Everything that's wrong with the world today, you can attribute back to this beast kingdom thing that's over the top of it all. And it's going to collapse, and it says, and then the operation of this kingdom will be given to the saints of the Most High. Plain as day in the scriptures. Revelation 1:6. Let's see. So let's see. That talks about we're going to reign with him. Okay, being on his throne with him and reign with him. This is one of my favorite. 5, 9, and 10. In the King James version, he says he's going to choose people from every tongue, nation, tribe, ethnos, every group of people all out there. He's going to save somebody out of that. He's going to save somebody out of that, and they're going to perform the duties of priests and kings. Okay, and I wrote King James version on your notes because the King James version is the only one that properly translates the Greek. Greek says kings and priests, and most of your translations will say kingdom of priests, but it's not what it says. Okay, and chapter 20 verse 6 says the same kind of thing again. Okay, about being a kings and priests to our God. Okay, and that's what we're supposed to do. Okay, why? Well, it's you got to assume a little bit. So if God's going to pull people out of, let's just say, a group of people. Let's just say Micronesia. Okay, so he's going to pull some people out of Micronesia, and they're going to go back and work with those people as kings and priests. And so you want to work with people that know you, that know about you, that they're not strangers, and you can't buffalo them using your cultural stuff. So someone who knows the culture, someone who knows the people, someone who knows the language, someone who knows what's going on behind the words that are actually being said, okay? And they're going to go back and be kings and priests of them. Why? Because we're going to see. So the next thing is the word suitable. So God's looking forward in time, and he's choosing an administration suitable. So I wrote in here, big enough, strong enough, righteous enough, and extensive enough. Okay? So that tells me that when you are called, and this is what maybe a lot of people, nobody's told you, you are called for a place in this administration. And this administration has to be big enough, strong enough, righteous enough, and extensive enough to get the job done. Okay? Jesus is going to rule the world. Okay, that's what's coming next. I kind of gave you a glimpse into I can't remember what that's called. A spoiler. I gave you a spoiler. Jesus is going to rule the world, and we're going to find out he's going to rule heaven and earth together as one big thing, and it's directly under him. And there's been other entities that have been kind of ruling along with Jesus up to now, and it's happening right now, even in our country. Molech is there, and Ashtaroth is there, and Baal is there in our government under the halls of power. They're there doing their manipulations. If you wonder where all this crazy stuff going on in our country comes from, it comes from other gods that have gone in. That's why Jesus said, "Hey," I mean, when God talks to them, he said one of the first things he said, "Hey, you will have no other gods in front of me." That's what in front of me. I'm going to be the God. And these guys, what they say doesn't mean nothing. Because there are other gods. They're all through the Bible. And they're around today. And they're doing their nasty things. Molech is in charge of Planned Parenthood. That's a fact. Okay? So this is all going to come to an end, because so when it says in Daniel that the saints of the Most High will take over, we got to be big enough, we got to be strong enough, and we got to be righteous enough, and we got to be extensive enough. We got to have training, we got to have morals, we got to have integrity, and we got to have wisdom. So we need all those things. Okay, so for the fullness of the times, God has set up. If you look through history, there's times. There's a time before the flood. There's a time after the flood, the patriarchal time. Then there was the time of Israel. And that was a specific time. And then there was a time when there was Israel wasn't being blessed, and there's no writings, and God's not talking. Okay, then comes the church age. Okay, we're in the middle of the church age right now. Church age is going to be over, and another age is coming, and that age is coming is what the fullness of time is all about, and that's what he says here, for the fullness of time. For there's the age after this one. This age has to accomplish its mission. God wanted something to happen in this age. It's winding down, and so when this age is done, boom, it's over, and the next age starts. It's summing up of all things. That's what it says next in that passage. Summing up of all things. So that means there's a bunch of things that are separated. There's a bunch of things that have been put into pieces. Everything's going to be put back together. Everything that was apart, it shouldn't be apart, it's going to be put back together in Christ. It's all going to happen in Christ. In fact, he's going to manage the whole thing. He's going to say, you put this together there, put that together there. We got some people over here that are warring. We're going to put that together. Everything that's all messed up, we're going to put it all back together. And then it says, things in the heavens and things on the earth. So heaven and earth will somehow be combined into one entity. It's not going to be something happens in heaven, different things happen on the earth. It's not going to be that way anymore. It's all going to be one. It's all going to be under Jesus. And his chosen ones from the earth, who he's trained and gone through all the trials and tribulations and all the discipling and all the gifting and all the wisdom that he's given them. That's all going to come into play, and we're all going to get to exercise it in God's kingdom here on the earth. So Matthew 6:10, it says, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Why are we supposed to say that? Because it's different now. What happens on earth is different than what happens in heaven. And so it needs to come back together. So what we do, because God gave Adam control over the earth, he says, I want you to be in charge of everything on the earth. So we get to say, what you want, Jesus, now should happen here. What you want to happen. Let's say we're in the middle of an election. Okay, and a choice has to be made. Jesus, what's the right choice? Let's just say we have a big decision about us. Are we going to believe climate change or not? We're going to believe it. Right? We're going to look at the scientific evidence, and the scientist says it's not happening, and the politicians say it is. So who are we going to believe? So we ask Jesus, what do we believe? Okay, so all of these things are not going to be question marks when Jesus comes down, because he's not going to allow lies to be published. He's not going to allow deception to be part of our lives. He's going to take all that out, and he's going to put honorable, righteous people in charge. And that's a time everybody's looking forward to. So God bless you, and so put this in your notes and your thinking when you're thinking about Ephesians chapter 1, verses 1 through 12. God bless.